What is Zapier? I get this question all the time. And the biggest or the most frequent answer I give is it's the ability to glue the internet together. Now, obviously, that's a joke. But specifically, what we do with Zapier is we actually connect one app with another app, web applications such as, say, Calendly and maybe Google Sheets. Now, in this tutorial, what I'd like to do is I'd like to show you exactly how we do that. What is Zapier? A very basic tutorial on it. And then what I'd like to get into is like how I use it to make upwards of $50,000 a month from knowing what I know and using what I use and having clients pay me each month to help them build their businesses and support their system. So let's get into it. Let me share my screen. All right, and now we are here. We are in Zapier. This is the basic login sign up page. I'm just going to go through this quickly, okay? So before you start up, let's talk about what Zapier is. So it's an easy automation for busy people. Zapier moves info between your web apps automatically so you can focus on the more important work. So basically, in a nutshell, what I like to tell people is I save people time. And it's the one commodity that people need more of, right? If you are focusing on more of the things that make you money and less on the things that just take up your time, then you will be more profitable, right? Make more by doing less is my motto. All right. So as you can see, there's 3,000 applications, right? Google Sheets, Gmail, Slack, Google Calendar, MailChimp. I mean, it's endless. Like chances are, if you're using a software, Zapier has it in here. Okay, so we're going to log in quickly. And I believe I have just a basic account. I'm going to sign in. Let's actually just sign up for an account. Let's go into Google. I'll sign up with my Gmail. Here we are. Okay, this is the very beginning of Zapier. Now, full disclosure, I normally don't make a Zap from here, but I'm very experienced. So I don't want to like not give this the credit that it deserves. So if you're ever thinking about, building an automation, this is kind of like a really nice cheat sheet to come to, right? So it gives you, some recommended workflows, but this is really nice. So say, for example, we were using Pipedrive, okay? We could type in Pipedrive and we were like, hey, listen, every time something happens in Pipedrive, I want to add it to Google Sheets. All right. And then we could do that, right? And then we could say, hey, like when, a new note is added, we could create a spreadsheet row. Okay. And then boom, you can hit try it. And it's actually going to, pull that out and actually build this for you. So I don't ever use this anymore. I just know exactly what I like to use and how I like to use it. I'm pretty experienced in it. Gives you some more recommendations down below. So yeah, let's go take a look at Zap. So I might have a few in here. This is just a basic Zap I was building before, but let's create a Zap. Let's take a second and really understand, like, what is a trigger? What is an action? Let's break down what a Zap is in a sense, okay? So for every Zap that you do, or for every integration or automation you do, you have to have something that triggers it, okay? So I like to think of, there's another software out there called if this, then that. And I really like that term because if this happens, then do that is really, really nice way of thinking about this, right? So what I like to say is like, if this happens, then do this. So what would happen? So let's take, for example, Calendly. Calendly is a booking, calendar booking software. Say, for example, if an invitee was created, that would be the trigger, correct? So as soon as someone is actually, like an invitee is created inside of Calendly, it's actually going to then do the action down below, right? So if this happens, then do this down below. So we're just going to pick my Calendly, right? We'll obviously have to sign up the account. Now there's a lot of different versions of how this will work. A lot of when you're managing accounts and stuff, let me just show you how this works. So you're going to add a connection, right? Say we wanted to go into Calendly. Now I can't show you all of these, but like if we go into Calendly, it's going to ask for an API key. So inside of Calendly, there's an API key you go grab, you plunk it in here, you hit yes and continue. You have the integration built. So that's how it works. Okay, so you're going to test your trigger. What testing means is you have had like a call booked or something has happened, or your trigger has happened, and it can pull through all that information for you, right? So what has happened is someone has booked a call. So someone named M has booked a call, and all this metadata, I like to call it, you can see the event start time, the event start time in the pretty, when it's supposed to end, what the Zoom link is to get into it, who it's booked with, like who it's assigned to. This is good if you have a big team, things like that, right? So I'm not going to get too much into it because, like I said, I just want to kind of explain the basics of Zapier. So the action, right? So say, for example, someone booked on my Calendly and I want to add them into a CRM, or I wanted to add them into Google Sheets, or I wanted to maybe notify myself in Slack. Okay. So you could go into Slack and you could say, hey, you have a new booked appointment, right? So you would literally just go send a channel message. Okay. And then sign into Slack. You might have 100 Slacks here. And then we're just going to pick a channel. So we could just like pick, like, say, for example, you're going to pick new calls, right? So we have a channel here called new calls. We can go, hey team, we have a new appointment with, right? And then what you would do is you'd use this and insert this data. So when you click in here, this nice little pop-up shows up and you can pick a lot of the stuff. So the invitee name is M, and you'd be like, hey team, we have a new appointment with M and it's booked on, and then you would come down here and you go event start time pretty. And then boom, I hit a period, I hit done. I can send as a bot and I can call this new appointment booking. Okay. So that is an example of an action step. Okay. So you're going to come down here, you're going to hit continue, right? I'm going to skip the test because I don't really need to do this right now. And then boom, just go back to setup here. Once I turn this on up here, this is going to happen every single time. So every single time I get an appointment, this Slack message is going to be sent. Now, if you think about like how much time that might save, it might be a little bit. It might be a couple minutes a day trying to figure out what your next appointments are. You know, if you're always in Slack and you're always using Slack, then why would you want to go to your, maybe Calendly or even your calendar for that matter to go look at things, right? It's nice to have that notification. You know what's happening. Maybe your team members want to know like what's going on in your daily life. There's a whole lot of other use cases, right? So other use cases would be like, say, for example, you're doing lead generation for Instagram. Okay. And you wanted to put all of the outreach that you're doing on Instagram, you want to put it in MailChimp, right? So say, for example, you're in the DMs and you're like, just talking to people and you're going, hey, can I send you something, right? What you can do is you can actually go to Google Sheets, or you can go to a form like JotForm, enter their email, their name, and their phone number into JotForm, and hit send, and automatically adds them into MailChimp for you. You don't actually have to open up MailChimp. You don't have to like go in and add a new contact, all the fields and stuff like that. You could literally have a form on your phone. You can just instantly fill it out and you don't actually have to go anywhere. So it's really nice to be able to save that kind of time. Another example would be onboarding clients. Now, say, for example, you run a huge marketing agency, right? And you want to, you have a sale inside of Stripe, right? You got a $2,000 payment inside of Stripe. It's a new client. You could then add a task inside of Asana so that your team can start onboarding this new client, such as like, maybe they're going to get their ads started. Maybe they're going to, get the call center rep ready to go. Maybe they're going to start building out their CRM and their funnels and all that kind of stuff. Whatever services you provide, you could literally take that from Stripe and then put it into Asana and automate it onboarding sequence without having to ever forget about it ever again, or having to manually do it. Last one I got written down here is like, another option that you could use, you could round robin leads. Now, there's a lot of advanced features inside of Zapier. So with round robining leads, what you would do is like, if you had, say, Pipedrive, you could take a lead coming from, say, Calendly, a perfect example, coming in from Calendly, and you had 2 reps, sales rep. You could give it to one, you could give it to the other, then next, and then you could basically, alternate these leads or these appointments coming into your CRM, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's basically a small rundown. The one thing that I will show you is the task history. So what I really like coming in here and seeing is I like going into Zap History. And what it does is it shows you, and there is no Zap History at all. But if I had an actual Zap come in here, I would be able to come in here and see if the Zaps are working, if they're aired, if anything has happened, right? So if something's not happening, you have this nice bird's eye view of that. My apps just means like, what have I connected? What have I connected to Zapier already? And you can come in here, you can test the connections, you can add another one, you can do whatever you want from there. And upgrading plan. So Zapier is definitely not the cheapest thing in the world. However, There is a nice starter package. You can get 750 tasks a month for like $25 a month. I always suggest going with the professional package no matter what. And the reason why is because of this update time. I like having my tasks, my triggers, and my actions. I like having everything kind of resolved within like 1 minute to 2 minutes. Okay. So I currently use the team just because I have a ton of clients and I need a lot of, like, I have like upwards of 200,000 tasks happening. So I use this one and it's a 1 minute update time. So this is why I really like doing it. But you really only need the professional when you're first starting out. Even in the starter, it just takes upwards of 15 minutes potentially. It doesn't mean it's always going to take 15 minutes. It's potentially, okay? So you can make multi-step zaps. You can have 3 premium apps, things like that. Now, premium apps just mean like Facebook or, I think Calendly might be a premium app. But obviously there's some upsells here that you can't get away from. I always just, if you have a decent agency and you're going to get going at it, start off with the starter, then get yourself into professional. It's only a few bucks more a month and then you're good to go. And they do bill you by task. So you got to watch out. If your tasks go over, watch out for that email, because if you're relying on this automation, say, for example, you have a Black Friday sale coming up, you want to make sure that your tasks over here, right, aren't going to be, maxing out, right? If they do, then Zapier just stops until you either change your plan or it waits until the next, billing date, right? Which could potentially be, disastrous depending on like what you're doing. And if you're onboarding clients or if you're sending out emails based on certain triggers and actions. So that's a basic understanding of like Zapier. Now, the meat and potatoes of this is like, how do you earn money doing Zapier? And so I make upwards of 50, I'm not going to say exactly how much money I make, but I make upwards more than $50,000 a month. And what I do is I literally use Zapier to save people time. So with all of the descriptions that I've given you of like what you can do, imagine doing that for 5, 6, 7, 8 clients, 10 clients. And you have a client that has a sales team of say 5, 6, 7 people. And now imagine automating all of their appointments, all the leads coming in, all the emails going out, everything's kind of housed within Zapier. You house all of those integrations. They begin trusting you as they should, and they begin paying you, let's say a $2,000 retainer a month. They get a bigger team. They start paying you $3,000 or $4,000 a month, and you're running a lot of their systems and their operations for them. Now, I have a client that pays me $2,000 a month. I hook up Calendly into Close.io, and that's basically all I do. I get paid, I think $2,000, roughly $2,000 a month, US. I'm in Canada, so it's a bit different exchange, but they pay me that, and I jump on a call with them once a week. We go through some issues, we go through some problems. If there are any, we come up with some different ideas that we could use to help save them more time. But for the most part, it's been a life-changing experience for them. They've actually been able to increase their sales because their closer isn't spending so much time updating things inside of like a Google Sheet. They're using a CRM now that I set up with, and then Zapier connects all of that in between. So it's a really cool tool to be able to, not only earn money, but, save people time, earn their trust. And keep in mind that if you own the software and all the zaps and all that are inside of your software, it's really hard for them to go somewhere else. Not saying that they would need to, but it's just the retention of them, wanting to use you or needing to use you every month is high, because no one really wants to learn this. No one really wants to do it, right? So I digress. Listen, if you got value from this, I normally always ask at the beginning, but I didn't. Let's ask right now if you could give me a subscribe, give me a like, throw down a comment on a video you'd like to see in the future. And yeah, I hope you had tremendous value. Talk soon. Cheers.